If you saw my last video reviewing other awesome gold weapons like the Badan 2, Gewehr 1888, Schmeisser Mark 36 and Springfield Pedersen device, which you can find in this corner of the video, then you'll know that a new Enlisted Battle Pass season has just started, in which you can find 4 damn cool new gold weapons for you to spend your gold weapon orders on. Once again, a massive thank you to Pavel, my Discord's resident historian, for providing us with research on these weapons, and you can get involved in the discussion by joining our massive Enlisted Discord server with so many people to play with in voice chats and playing our awesome community events. But also, once we hit 1,000 members, we're going to give away not just 1, but 2 premium squads and the Pacific Campaign Full Access Pack. So why aren't you in it? Come on! We'll start with the Pacific Axis gold weapon, the Type Hei rifle with extended magazine. Now I won't lie, I really dislike the standard Type Hei that you can get for free early on in this campaign, and this one is exactly the same apart from 2 things. One is the fact that it has a 10-round magazine as opposed to the 5-round magazine, but then this leads on to the second different aspect, the higher reload time of 3.6 seconds compared to 3.2 seconds. For me personally, I think the added reload time is way too big to make this gold weapon, you know, that good.
Brave, but foolish, my old Jedi friend.
3.6 seconds is almost as long as some massive magazine machine guns. For context, the Soviet DT-29 has a reload speed of only 3.3 seconds with a 63-round magazine. Only 4.8 seconds for the 75-round MG-34 with Patronentrommel magazine, which is not much higher at all in relative terms. And the absolutely nutty new Berlin premium squads, which I talked about in this video, that you can also find by clicking in this corner of the video, are also ridiculous. There's an 100-round mag belt-fed DP machine gun with only a 3.2 second reload time. And if you needed even more context, the M1 Garand only has 2.9 seconds of reload time, almost a whole second shaved off this Type Hei with extended magazine. But don't let me and my opinions influence you too much.
Don't do this! You can't do this!
Especially as its hidden shot dispersion statistic for both the standard and extended version is 0.25, which is above average on the list of all semi-automatic rifles in the game. And in actual fact, a 10-round magazine is one of the highest on all semi-automatic rifles in the game too. And it has a bayonet. So if you enjoy using the Type Hei for the Japanese in the Pacific and you're already good with it, then you definitely should get this, as it's an improved version of the weapon you already enjoy. Just be careful of the reload time.
There's no need for that. You know who I am?
You're a fool.
Do you know who I am?
You what?
Do you know who I am?
Do I care? Come on, who are you then?
Ronnie Pickering.
Who?
Ronnie Pickering.
Who?
Ronnie Pickering!
Who the f***'s that?
Yeah, me.
In reality though, only 50 Type Hei rifles were ever built between 1932 and 1934, so it might make little sense to people why it's in the main campaign tree. But the devs had to include prototypes if they were to make this campaign interesting and unique, and it's exactly what I advised them to do in videos such as this and this. I don't blame them at all. The Type Hei design ended up being rejected due to its high cost, but just one of these 50 rifles built replaced the 5-round with the 10-round magazine, so there was only one of these ever made. So that's quite cool and makes it interesting to buy in game. But what you should be aware of is that the 50th piece of this model, tested in 1938, had a 20-round magazine, which honestly should have been the one they picked for this battle pass in my opinion. But adoption of this huge magazine design was rejected due to low reliability and too high rate of fire, which literally shows us how stupid Japanese officers were, thinking that 290 shots per minute was too high. Bro, imagine what they thought when they saw the PPSH. But what does this mean? Posture System Engine Tree. Huh? Pavel does mention that Darkflow will really struggle to find gold order weapons for the Japanese, as they weren't creative at all. In his words, may I add. Which equally may explain why a slightly higher mag version of the same weapon was the only thing they could think of for this season for Pacific Axis. Second up is the strange-looking M1E5 Garand, which is available in both the Pacific and Normandy campaigns for the Allies. Now in-game it feels exactly the same as the standard M1 Garand, and looks that way with the same sights, appearance, from what you typically see without free looking in the game. Don't worry, I'm not blind, I know they actually do look very different.
Are you f***ing blind? You can't see me? I crashed.
You crash! How are you coming fast?
and firing sound, yet the stats are a bit different. The M1E5 version has slightly less base damage, 0.6 less to be precise, which honestly you won't notice at all as they are so similar and you can still kill or down enemies with one hit at almost the same percentage chance. But the M1E5 has a better reload time of 0.3 seconds. Once again, you won't really notice this, but in my opinion you'll still notice this more than the damage differences. But then this is counterbalanced by the fact that it has worse recoil than the standard Garand rifle, and you once again equally don't feel this much in game. Considering the fact that nothing else is different, including the shot dispersion which is 0.28 for all Garand versions, we do have to conclude that the M1 Garand is better than the M1E5 version, but not by a whole lot. It's still very worth it to get this weapon, especially in the early game for either Normandy or the Pacific, and it looks funky, come on. But you know what else is funky? Clicking that subscribe button. No, seriously, it's a party in there. I mean, come on, you'll never know unless you click it. Pavel tells me that the M1E5 has a shorter barrel, is lighter and shorter than the standard M1, and only one prototype was made of it in 1944, so it's another very rare weapon. A perfect candidate for a gold weapon. Well done, Darkflow. Though Pavel does say that in reality it was worse than the M1 Garand with horrific recoil, and that it's supposed to be worse than the M1 Carbine. Bro, nothing is worse than this thing. Except the Beretta SMG. If you know, you know. The next weapon, and one of those really hyped up, is the MKB-42W, the first enlisted assault rifle gold order weapon, which you can get in Normandy, Moscow, Berlin, and Stalingrad for the Axis. The wide range of campaigns it's available in instantly makes it very versatile, and it's smart to consider which campaign you would benefit from it the most. And in my opinion, for the majority of people, it would be the Moscow campaign. This is because in Normandy you get the MP43 and now the STG at later levels anyway, and Berlin has too much other OP stuff, and if you have the Stalingrad Full Access pack then you unlock the MKB-42H super quickly anyway. Though if you don't have the Full Access pack and don't plan on buying it, then Stalingrad actually does make sense.
It's just, for me, I can't do it.
You can! You can do it, you can!
But for most people, Moscow makes the most sense, as this MKB-H is so much better than basically every early game assault weapon you get, and allows you to get an MKB at level 1, rather than at the last level for that campaign. But why is this thing so good? Well, comparing the stats of the MKB-H and MKB-W together, they are almost exactly the same damage, the same rate of fire, and same magazine size, but they differ in 3 areas. One is the reload time. The MKB-W loses out by 0.3 seconds, something that is indeed hardly noticeable. The second is the recoil, where the H has more vertical but the W has more horizontal, and you do notice this horizontal difference, even though this horizontal difference is very small in absolute terms. But overall, I'd say that the W wins here, as vertical always matters more than horizontal, even though both are once again hardly noticeable differences. But the third is its shot dispersion. The W has a shot dispersion statistic of 0.6, but the standard H version has 0.75, and this is indeed very noticeable. Therefore, in my opinion, the MKB-42W is, albeit slightly, better than the standard H version. Therefore, this is honestly a must buy for all of you guys, preferably in Moscow, but you can get up to 4 of these things and transfer them between campaigns to get an entire assault squad of MKB-42Ws. It has to be up there with one of the best gold weapons in the game.
I don't know what this is, but it's kind of hot.
Though, this weapon is only for assaulters in Moscow, yet in Stalingrad the MKB-H is available for engineers as well. Now, I didn't buy it in Stalingrad, but if any of you have the W in Stalingrad, then let me know in the comments whether you can put the MKB-W on other troop types other than assaulters, which all of a sudden would make it very worthwhile to get in Stalingrad over Moscow. In reality though, this W was the second from the German MKB-42 family, one of the first ever assault rifles, but this one was made by the manufacturer Walter, who added a closed bolt instead of the open bolts favoured by Hugo Schmeisser and Haenel on their MKB-H version. 200 of these Walter versions were tested on the Eastern Front, making it the least unique gold weapon on this list, but it lost out in a competition to the MKB-H version. In fact, the MP43, which you do see in-game in the other campaigns, has most of its features from the Haenel MKB, but did have the closed bolt from the Walter MKB. So this MKB-W did have impacts for all future assault rifles, including the mighty STG-44. Finally, the last new gold weapon has arrived in this video, the PP Shpitalniy?
Shpitalniy. Shpitalniy.
1940. The major selling point that everybody is talking about is its 97 round magazine. For an assault weapon, that's just unfair. Fellow world champion, military history, also known as the grenade spammer. If you've seen my full documentary on my team's road to victory, which you can find in the top corner once again, sums up this weapon perfectly. It's as if the Thompson and the PPSH had a baby. And he's not wrong. You can get this thing in Moscow, Berlin and Stalingrad for the Allies. And to be honest, it's OP as hell in any of them. There's no right answer here, so it's down to you. Though I would recommend you picking it up in the campaign you are lowest level in, so you get the most utility out of it. Comparing it against the PPSH, which is basically accepted to be the best Soviet assault weapon in the game, we see that for the first time they are indeed quite different. They have the same base damage but very different rate of fires, where the PP is significantly slower, but you do have to put that into perspective, because by no means is 800 shots per minute slow. It's faster than almost every other assault rifle in the game still.
Go and see exactly what's out there, and then you come back to me and realise, yes.
Some may say that 800 shots per minute is more controllable. Therefore, to many, including myself, it seems like a benefit. Plus, the extra 20 rounds in a magazine over the PPSH means you can fire this thing for essentially 3 business days before you need to reload it. The PP has 0.2 seconds slower reload time, but this is basically unnoticeable. But it has better recoil, in particular from the vertical aspect, and has a better shot dispersion of 0.72 compared to the PPSH's 0.82. So in many ways, the PP is better than the PPSH, and I'd say you need to be getting these on as many soldiers as possible. Honestly, for me, just testing it out in a game, I personally think it's one of the best, if not the best weapon in the entire game of Enlisted. Dark close Soviet bias. Some could make the argument though that the Fedorov automat is better, but that depends on whether you favour raw damage or magazine size, and for me it's magazine size by a long shot. Pavel's famous notes tell me that this weapon was tested in 1940 with the PPD-40 and prototypes of the PPSH-41, and due to its weight, which is about 20% higher than the PPSH and close to double the PPD's weight, it was called the personal machine gun. Oh, I love that kind of thing. But also, due to its weight as well as its low quality of components, it wasn't picked for mass production and lost out to the PPSH. If you still don't know which of these gold weapons to pick, here is my ranking on screen of the 4 we just spoke about, but including all of the other gold weapons that I've reviewed on this channel, which you can find in a handy playlist in the top corner of the video now. These are my scores out of 10 and rankings. But what gold weapons do you want me to add to this leaderboard next? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you'd like to support the channel further, then you can find my Patreon, YouTube channel membership and Twitch channel in the description. And I'll be streaming during the next set of Twitch drops, so be sure to give it a follow so you don't miss it. A massive thank you to my current supporters whose names are on screen now. But nevertheless, it's been an absolute pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and I'll definitely see you in the next one.